Hey everybody, it's ShadowStar here for a brand new season of Doctor Who. It's finally back! Time for another short season like last time. But anyway, we start with our brand new series opener, which, at least, we can all agree on one thing. It's way better than last season's season opener, although that wasn't much competition. Anyway, Robot Revolution, brand new season, brand new companion. And, we go for a completely opposite companion to what we had with Ruby, and now we go on to somebody who feels a lot like Martha. Look, Russell, I get it. I don't want to go for the lazy, obvious bits, but it just feels like that. We went from having a blonde, peppy girl to and then we move on to a character who's a nurse. We are 2 steps away from just copying your first 2 runs. But lame comparisons aside, that's beside the point. They are actually different characters, but it does feel a bit of an odd point. If we get a spunky middle-aged woman as our third companion, we're gonna have weirdness. But let's not take our dumb jabs aside. Let's actually talk about this episode because it actually was pretty good. It actually was pretty good. I enjoyed most of the episode, and I know it's going to upset some people and make other people very happy. But anyway, we start by showing us the flashback from 17 years ago. Nothing wrong with the flashback, I just wanted to remind you that 17 years ago was the middle of Series 3. Wrap your mind around that. God, we're old. Anyway, whatever, we get the flashback, which obviously we'll come back to in a minute. The guy names a star after her, and it's actually not that difficult. I'd like to remind people that, like everything in life, it's not that difficult to get a celestial body named after a person. It really isn't, because again, celestial bodies still come with numerical codes anyway, so they really don't, most people don't actually care what silly name you give it. It's sort of like how in the episode Rosa, they point out how there's an asteroid named Rosa, just like, but there's also asteroids named TARDIS and Sheldon Cooper, so who cares? Anyway, that's beside the point. But, then we skip forward time, present day, it's a doctor, he's following around in a hospital, and that's already the first point. We see him following around. He seems to know something's going on with her, but then later we just see her get kidnapped. It's like, did he know she was going to get kidnapped? Did she know the robots were stalking her and we didn't know about it? I wish it was something a bit more than that. Again, it feels very much like the opening to Series 3. He's stalking somebody in a hospital. Although, well, no, he wasn't Martha, he wasn't stalking her. It was just coincidence. Also, a lot of people brought up the fact that a lot of people, even the stupid people, have brought up the valid complaint that the doctor apparently shut down the power to the hospital. Now, I know, yes, a hospital would presumably have a backup generator, but the fact that they didn't make a point of that is a bit of an odd point. Whatever, it's a dumb joke, but that's the one credit I can give people complaining about this episode. But whatever, okay, moving on. We go to her house, she gets kidnapped, they blow up a cat, by the way. The robots break in and blow up a cat. Bet you weren't expecting that. They blew up a cat. I was not expecting that. I'm like, holy shit. First when they shot the cat, I expected them to turn around and be like, oh, don't worry, the cat's just teleported or whatever. It's a teleport gun. No, they killed a cat. They killed an animal. I mean, whatever, people die in the show all the time, but you know the rule, you can kill a million humans, but don't you dare kill an animal. But whatever. Anyway, they're after her because, again, this is the weirdest plot point. Even though we have silly gimmicks like, oh, you can go online and name it a star after a human or whatever. Apparently the robots know about that and want it named and believe that their entire star system is based around her. Remember, they kidnapped her before they kidnapped the guy. They only went back in time to kidnap the guy after she mentioned it. So they're kidnapping her purely on the basis that some silly website he named a star after her, and now somehow in the future they're completely aware of some random thing from planet Earth and decide to name their star system based on that. Yeah, that was a weird point, but that's the entire premise of the episode. But then anyway, moving forward, we get to the planet, blah, 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 and we get something really interesting where it seems like the episode, I was curious because, they call it the AI generator. I'm like, oh, are we getting to get an episode taking on AI? I was actually disappointed when it wasn't an episode taking on AI, because it's not really an episode taking on AI. It's just kind of it's the AI generator, but it didn't really do anything. It doesn't feel like it's taking on AI in any way. It's like, we called it the AI generator. I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? What are we going to do? Nothing. They just called it that and moved on. Although, skipping ahead a bit, I loved the joke at the end where they said it doesn't say AI, it says Al. I've loved that because I've seen that joke made online so many times. Like, I love how it's like Weird Al retweeted a tweet where like somebody said AI is evil, but because it's always A and then capital I, which could look like a lowercase L, he retweeted. I love that joke. I did love that joke because, like, that's actually funny. That's actually funny. And it helped that the guy's name was Alan. I'm like, okay, it all ties around in the end. That was actually kind of funny. Obviously, they did have to touch upon the fact that this person, the new companion's actress, was previously in the 3rd episode of last season. So far, we're just saying that she's the great ancestor and so on, and we don't know if there'll be any more touching on it. Maybe there is something special, or it's just, hey, you're an ancestor, whoop-de-doo, which I'm perfectly fine with if that's the answer. You know, it's, again, sort of like how we had Martha and just said, she had a cousin from Series 2. Again, if that's all it takes, that's fine with me, and it could just be a wonderful coincidence they decided to take her on as a bigger role, which, to be fair, that's happened plenty of times in Doctor Who anyway. In fact, I kind of actually hope they go down that road and don't do anything more. People always wonder, okay, how special are they going to make the companion? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's okay when we have people like Ruby or Clara who are supposedly special, but it's also nice when we get a companion who's just kind of there. And that could be the case with our new companion. Now, I do want to bring up an interesting point, and this has nothing really to do with the episode. It's just a thought that popped in my mind. There's a bit where he's introducing himself in that basement hospital, and he's like, oh, look, I've got 2 hearts, blah, 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 I'm from a different planet. And when he said that, I was worried he was going to go into the fact of what planet is he from. He's like, I'm from a different planet. It's like, but he doesn't know what planet he's from. Which raises a point, and it's irrelevant to this episode because it's not this episode's doing, and I just wanted to bring it up. Why does the Doctor have 2 hearts? Why do Time Lords have 2 hearts? I know he called himself a Time Lord in this episode, but he's not a Time Lord. He's a whatever species he is from the Timeless Children. He's not a Time Lord, he's not a Gallifreyan. Why does he have 2 hearts? Why do Gallifreyans have 2 hearts? Is it just a massive coincidence? Again, that's a critique of the Timeless Child storyline, but whatever. It's just something that popped in my head. I'm like, yeah, why do you have 2 hearts? You say you're from a different planet, but you don't know what planet you're from. Moving on, there's also the bit at the end where before we open up to the reveal that the quote AI generator was actually just the boyfriend or lack thereof, they keep saying, oh, you'll become one with it and your emotions will be removed. I'm like, why are we 2 steps away from Cyberman language? It's like, there are times where I'm like, it feels like you wanted to do Cyberman, but it wasn't. I don't know, they brought that up so many times, like it feels just like Cybermen when they say, oh, your emotions will be removed, you're becoming one with the robot. But whatever. Then we get flashbacks to the past and realize that the supposed boyfriend didn't just propose to her, but it immediately started proposing disturbing rules and controlling rules, and we get into that whole point, and like, okay, that's going to be an interesting point, because I'm sure there are going to be some people on the internet who get upset at that in the same way that there are people who got upset at Dot and Bubble. Thanks for providing entertainment, people. But whatever, that moves on very quick. And then, because the whole episode is solved because the time travel mechanics of the fact that they went back to grab the ex-boyfriend because he said it was her fault, because she said it was his fault that they named it. They now have a future version of the silly certificate you can print off the internet. And they're like, oh, it's a future version. If it touches itself, it will explode and he'll get sent back in time and his timeline will be erased and he's like now an egg and then we step on him. But again, how many times have we had this? They're like, oh, you can't, the 2 things can't touch because they're the same thing from different points in the timeline. But like, How many times, and I mean how many times, have things of different points in time touched each other within this show? I get it, whatever, Doctor Who changes its rules all the time, but it just seems to be inconsistent rules, but whatever, that's the whole plot of the episode, is just, okay, it burns up, and because he's touching it, he gets whittled down. Now, to be fair, it would have happened to her as well, but because he's a Time Lord, or not a Time Lord, he can withstand the blast and pull her out of it. It is an episode that was enjoyable. It's a really good episode at showing her as a companion, obviously similar to in one episode, she's what Martha should have been, because when we had Martha, I was like, oh, Martha is in training to be a doctor. This is going to be great. We have a companion who's got a bit of experience in a field that could be interesting when we're traveling. But I felt like with Martha, they rarely did much with the fact that she's in medical training, or she was about to be a doctor. They did do a couple times, but that was mostly just to prove that she's intelligent. Here, straight away, we see her knowing. I forgot her name. Oh my god, I forgot the companion's name. That's fine, I always take forever. But we already see her showing that she knows what she's doing and immediately taking action and doing stuff, which is something I wish Martha did a little bit more. And I'm sure, hopefully, we'll get to see that a bit more too. So, as a companion introductory episode, this was really well done. Better than Ruby's introduction episode, although Ruby's introduction episode was still pretty good too. So it has a bonus being able to have a new introduction of a companion while being a season opener and being better than last season's season opener. Oh, we did get Mrs. Flood in this episode as well. She popped up for 3 seconds, but hang on. Here, she seems to be her neighbor. Did Mrs. Flood move? Because last time she was Ruby's neighbor. So did Mrs. Flood move, or is our new companion 2 houses over from Ruby? I don't know. Either way would be interesting. Once again, she stops by. She's clearly the neighbor of the new companion. She says one cryptic thing when the doctor shows up, and that's about it. We do get a cliffhanger because we can't go home immediately, and this feels like Series 5, where I remember in Series 5, there's this bit where they fixate on a date, and that date is basically the end of the season. I don't think May 24th is the end of the season. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's not. But they focus on the fact that, we can't get her home. Also, May 24th, which means that this episode takes place on May 23rd, which means that we're actually not on present day for once. We're a little bit into the future. And we get the cliffhanger of Earth is blown up or not there, and there's stuff flying around. Oh well, that's our trickling for the end of the season. But yeah, the episode went by fast. We got a few laser fights. We got a few robots doing silly things. We got a robot cleaner that feels like it's trying to rip off the gadget thing from Mars. So, all in all, an okay episode. For a series opener and for a new companion episode, actually pretty good too. So, you know what? Definitely enjoyed this episode. I know a lot of other people have enjoyed this episode. Excited to see where they go with the season going forward. I've seen some wacky stuff that'll be happening. I haven't looked too far into it. But, I did enjoy this. It took me a while to get out this episode. By the way, side note, they've changed the time slot. It now goes up. This season seems to be releasing episode at 8 a.m. British time, which is 5 p.m. my time. And I could not review the episode because I was working, then I got home, so I didn't get to review the episode until the next morning. So everyone else has already started doing their stuff, and it's already been, so it has, usually I was able to pump out these episodes much faster, but whatever, that's beside the point. I just hate the new time slot because it means I either risk spoilers while I'm at work, but that's not the episode's fault. And to be fair, last season, it uploaded at midnight British time, and everyone hated it. So you know what? I always said that if anyone should get favourable treatment, it should be the British. So I'm like, fair enough. I'm not British. Why should I get favourable treatment on the time slot? That's fair. It's just slightly annoying having to dodge spoilers at work. Whatever. That's beside the point. an enjoyable series opener. The companion I'm very excited to see. She very much is we're doing the trick of having a companion who doesn't quite want to be the companion, because I know they did this a few times in the classic series. I mean, literally with the first set of companions. But now we have the situation where, like, oh, we can't get home immediately. Whereas I feel like with all modern companions, there's never been a reason why we couldn't just go home. They've been perfectly content being companions. Whereas here, she's not like, oh, let's have fun. She's like, she really talks down to the Doctor in that final scene in the TARDIS, like, no, I'm not doing your bullshit. I'm not going to be an adventure. But obviously that's going to change. It's like, okay, well, we can't go home. We've gone a long way around, blah, 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 blah. But I loved that scene where she's like, she immediately points out the Doctor's bullshit because he just plays it. Like, she can read him like a book, which does make me wonder more things about her, but we'll see where that goes. Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough, but I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Great series opener. With that being said, I will see you next week for more Doctor Who reviews and other things as well. See you next time, guys.